next up we have the wonderful Sara Nappi who's joining us for Assistive Tech Talk. Ask Me Anything.
All right. Wow. Thank you to our previous presenters. That was very, very interesting. Like Jessica said, my name is Sara Nappi. I am an assistive therapist. I work for the Iris Network in Portland, Maine, and this was a career change for me with vision impairment. I originally wanted to be a registered nurse and realized that that wasn't exactly the direction I wanted to go anymore once I was diagnosed with LHON. I was diagnosed 10 years ago, and I've had just an interesting journey along the way. So that's my little bio. So like I said, I work for the Iris Network, and we partner with our Division for the Blind and Visually Impaired to provide services for people in Maine and remotely for both assistive technology instruction and vision rehab therapy. So I turned my personal passion into my professional passion. So I love how I've been here. Everybody's like, oh, Sara Nappi, assistive tech. Everybody's been coming up to me with questions. It's been great. I learned along the way with everybody because if there's something I can't figure out, it bugs me. So I need to go figure it out. So I'd like to start with my first question. So ahead of conference, we sent out an email and there was a Facebook post for people to provide me with questions ahead of time.
How do I create a list on my phone?
How to create a list on an iPhone, right? Okay, so the iPhone has two built-in apps that are super helpful. There's Notes, well, there's more than two that are built in that are helpful, but Notes and Reminders. So reminders are actually where you're going to create a list. And you can do this two ways, manually by going to the Reminders app, and you can create, say, a grocery list. What I actually did was create a list of people who asked me questions. So that I can go to my Reminders app and I can pull up my list of questions or my list of people who asked questions and follow along. Because I have Brooke as my mic runner. And so she's running around with my mic to my people. So right here, I have it pulled up and I'm using magnification. So I had Paul first. And then Paul second as well. Paul, Laura, and then Lori, and then Paul Kruger. So my favorite use for this list is creating a grocery list. You can share your list with other people. So for a while, I had shared it with my husband, and I would add things to the list, and it was showing up right on his phone in real time. So if he was at the grocery store, I'm like, hey, by the way, I need ice cream. All right. And Paul, you had another?
I have one that just happened today. I was having trouble in the room and I wanted to call the hotel and find out something. And since this hotel did not have, or it was not in my contacts, my phone kept telling me, can't call them because it's not in your contacts. What was happening? I was asking Siri.
That's interesting. So if you said call and then did you say the phone number or just call Hilton?
Call Hilton near me.
Oh, did it probably brought up like a search result?
I happen to stay at Hilton's a lot. So it started with Springfield, Missouri, which wasn't going to help me too much today.
So something that might help is if you allow location settings so it can find things near you, it might help. Okay. It also would, that's interesting that it wouldn't let you, but it would also help just to have more information. Hilton Inn, Cleveland downtown, so that it's a more specific search would probably make it happen.
Wouldn't do it, but no. I'll make sure I share my location.
Yeah.
So another issue that Paul seems to have on his phone a lot is like the volume drops or the ringer's not loud. And so we can't figure out like what he's done from the phone from the time I left him to the time I try to call him, that it like doesn't ring anymore.
So this is a great example of like, so the side buttons, right? That's how you control volume. And I'm sure that is known to you. Something that is interesting is if you're using VoiceOver, if VoiceOver is speaking at the moment and you press the up button, right? That's controlling the sound for VoiceOver. If you press that up button while VoiceOver is on, but not currently speaking, That's controlling your actual like ringer volume and your media volume. So that could be part of it. Also, without actually digging in and like playing with your phone, I have no idea why it did that. That's a good opportunity to call Apple Accessibility. They can remote access your phone and help you figure out what's going on. I talk about them at every Zoom call we have for assistive technology. I call them frequently if I'm like, I'm stumped, because they will remote access your phone. They're super friendly. They are there to help people with disabilities. And they get it. They're like, so what are you using? Are you using magnification or voiceover? They aren't like regular tech support that's like, just tap on this. So,
We all use the same phone number to call into meetings. I'd like to know how I can have that on my phone so I don't have to dial it in each time I want to call.
I love this question. What Paul's talking about is the phone number to call into the LHON meetings. So all the meetings that we have in our community are Zoom meetings, but you can also call via phone. So there's 3 ways you can do this. The first one would be to program the phone number into your contacts if you want to actually just call. And then you can say, call LHON Zoom meeting. And you can use Siri to do it. So you can program it as a contact. You could also save the link in your notes app, and then you can tap on it and it'll take you straight to the Zoom meeting if you go through there. Another way is if you have the Zoom app on your phone, where you go to join the meeting, under the meeting ID, there's a text box where you could type in the meeting ID. Since we don't have that all memorized, there's a feature where it will remember the meeting ID, and there's a little downward pointing caret that you can tap on. Or with VoiceOver, it will announce it and it will save the meeting for the LHON community meeting. All right. I can't remember who's next. Brooke, who we have? Oh, Paul's here. Okay. Paul's back.
I'm back, but my mind is still in science, but I'll try. Okay, so I think my questions are going to come, are going to be about the Adobe PDF documents or PDF documents. Okay.
Okay.
So what are some of the best strategies or tips and tricks for using screen readers for PDF documents to get them to read, especially if you have just a basic Adobe Acrobat program on your computer and you can't convert it to a Word document, or there's something preventing that from happening.
Yes.
What are some of the best strategies for that? That's my
Great.
question.
I'll start there. Great question. This comes up a lot, is inaccessible documents. Somebody sends you something that your screen reader won't read. So what I would start with is you don't have to have Adobe Pro to read it. So I know, Paul, you are a Fusion user, is that right? So Fusion is one of the products that Freedom Scientific makes for accessibility with a screen reader and the visual settings. And what you can do is if you save that PDF document in File Explorer, so you save it, and then you go access it, if you right click or press the applications key so that you get that context menu, there's something called convenient OCR to Word. So it will OCR your PDF document with your Fusion and create a Word document of that document. It's great because then it's just as accessible as a Word document. You can go word by word, letter by letter, character by character, whatever you need to do. And that's built into Fusion and JAWS. Unfortunately, if you're a Zoom text user, it doesn't have that feature. So just heads up to my Zoom text users out there. Which leads me to the question about Adobe. So Adobe Acrobat Pro is a PDF reader that has OCR. And every time you open it, if you have a document that is not accessible, it will ask you, we detect text, but it's not accessible. Would you like us to run OCR? And you go, yep. And then you can access it with the Adobe Pro, which is considered a reasonable accommodation. If you're accessing PDF documents for work, ask your employer, can I have Adobe Acrobat Pro? And then it will automatically convert those PDF documents for you. Now, if you're listening, if you have a PDF document that you're accessing for fun, you don't want to buy Pro and you don't use one of those Freedom Scientific products I talked about, there's a website called Zamzar, ZAMZAR.com, and it will create an MP3 document of MP3 file of your document so you can listen to it. So if you needed to convert like a super long document that you wanted to like go for a walk and listen to, it'll create an audio file of that document. So there's three ways to convert your PDF document.
Wow, Sarah, that was awesome. That I don't know why I didn't ask you this question on an assistive technology call sooner, but I'm happy we got the answers today.
Yeah.
So my next question is, what can be done to improve the user experience for those of us who use screen readers on, for example, web pages that have third-party advertising or video advertising content to make, reviewing and hearing the
Yes.
web page smoother and better for those of us who use screen readers?
Great question. So what I like to think of that as is clutter. There's just like too much on that website that is not what you're looking for. There is one really helpful way to reduce the clutter. So like all the ads, all this video content that you're not looking for. On an Apple phone, on an iPhone, if you're using Safari, there's something called, it says show reader. So where you can find that is on Safari in the bottom, there's the address bar. And on the very left-hand side, there's options you can open and you can go down to the bottom. And I think it's one of the last options. It says show reader. And that removes, and it doesn't, not every website has it. I wish they all did. It removes all the ads. It removes all the junk you're not looking for. So one website I really like that with is the All Recipes website. If you're looking up a recipe, they have so many ads, but if you do the reader version, it's just the recipe. Like that's what I'm looking for. And also if you're using a Windows computer or you're using Microsoft Edge, if you just press the F9 key, it will do that same thing. It's called Immersive Reader on Microsoft Edge. It removes all the clutter, is what I like to call it, all the ads and the videos that you're not looking for. It's really just the meat and potatoes of that website. Again, not all websites have it, but F9, the F9 key.
Whether your Fusion, JAWS, or screen reader on that F9 key or
It doesn't, nope, that's built into Microsoft Edge. You don't need to have Fusion or JAWS or Zoom Text or anything. That's straight up on Microsoft Edge. I just had somebody up front ask if there's a Android version. Great question. It's browser specific. So that Safari show reader option on an Android will do the same thing. It's not Apple or Android, but it's Safari. It's browser specific. All right. Who do we have next? Brooke?
Hi, Sarah. It's Wendy Bassian.
Hi, Wendy.
Sarah, I wanted to know the difference between or which is best on a computer or laptop, the Apple products or the Apple product or the PC.
I get this question all the time. I think I talked about it last year too. It's the first question I encounter with most people who lose vision later in life, meaning teenager on. So my answer to that is often, what have you been using your whole life? Like, what are you used to? For me, it was an Apple. I used a MacBook to graduate college and nursing school. So I started on MacBook because it's what I was used to. I was used to the functions of it. And it has everything you need in there. It has a built-in screen reader. It has magnification. It can be accessed. So just the same goes, if somebody's been using a Windows computer their whole life, it's usually to stick with the same thing. It's also specific for employment, like what's the place that you want to work at use. If they use a Windows computer, then stick with that and start to get trained on that. And once you've mastered one, you can probably master the other one too. So both are great options. I I actually don't hold much bias against either one because I train people on both. They both work.
Thank you very much. Also spoken content to read text or to listen to text and email.
Awesome. So spoken content on the iPhone is a great middle ground between just using vision and just using voiceover. So spoken content, you can add one of those little controllers on the side where it's like you tap on it and the context menu opens for spoken content. One of the cool features is if you hold down, if you tap on like a text message and you hold down, then you can go to spoken content and it will read that out loud. So if you add a spoken content controller and put it in a specific spot, you can have it read specific things. So this is really helpful for the person who can generally navigate their phone with vision, but they want to add for those longer emails, like you don't want to become so visually fatigued you can't continue on with your day. So you can add that screen reader to a little bit of the process. So it
Thank
reads
you.
it out loud.
Thank you very much.
Another cool thing with spoken content, this came up at our assistive technology call, was if you want it to read the whole screen and just keep going, it's that 2-finger swipe down from the top of the screen to get it with spoken content on. You don't need voiceover on, just spoken content, and it will read the whole screen. Thank you, Wendy.
And next we have Andrea Miller.
Hello, I just had a question regarding if you knew of any AI tools or tools for scribing with your computer.
Cool, thank you. So scribing is super helpful for efficiency. I use dictation for most of my case notes. The method I use is I use the dictation on my iPhone because it's super accurate. If you're going to use it on a computer, I would recommend getting a third-party dictation software such as Dragon Naturally Speaking because it is the most accurate. So Windows has built-in dictation, and the way to make it the most accurate is to wear headphones so that it's really close to your mouth and it's picking up on more of your articulation of the words. So that's one of the ways is that you could dictate into a Word document and then copy and paste it into whatever platform you need to scribe it into. So that's a useful efficiency tool as well. Of course, always go back and edit because I can't tell you the funny things that I've put in case notes. And then, what was the second part of your question? Oh, AI, right?
Yeah, if there was a AI one that, could also help with, documenting while you were doing things at all. Because I've heard of scribing AI technology.
Yeah, great
Other
question.
than Dragon, not the Dragon speaking, but more advanced as the AIs are advancing.
So with the AI part, it's amazing how quickly AI is developing these days. There's some really cool things happening. So ChatGPT is an app or a website in which you could like copy and paste an email from somebody and say, make a response for me, and it will write a response to that email. Like write a response that says yes to this email, and it will be all professional. And as Maria said in one of our calls, it usually starts with, I hope this email finds you well, like every single time. So it's from ChatGPT. So that's like an efficiency tool, right? If I want to like make a professional email. So that's one way. So I have found that some people use ChatGPT to create emails, or even that you could use it in scribing as well. Thank you.
And then we had Amy Cook asks a question. Oh, perfect.
Thank you. Some of these questions are from my brother, so I will be typing to get him the answers back. So, sticking with the AI, when will ChatGPT or something of the sort, some AI, be usable for my eyes?
Be My Eyes, yes.
Eyes?
So I have an example of how you can use AI. I'm going to do it on the table right here. I'm going to see if this works. Okay, so I have 2 packets of coffee. If somebody handed me decaf, I'd be mad, but let's talk about it. So I was in my hotel room and I'm like, I need to figure out which one of these is decaf. That's what I need to do right now because I'm not having it. So what I could do is open the Be My Eyes app, and there's AI in Be My Eyes because I can ask it questions. So what I'm gonna do, wait for this to cooperate, right? So I'm gonna go to the Be My AI tab in my Be My Eyes app.
Be My Eyes. Take picture button. Take picture. Analyzing picture. Please wait.
So I'm taking a picture of the 2 packets of coffee.
Picture shows 2 small packets on a dark surface, likely a table. The packets are from the coffee bean and tea leaf brand. The packet on the left has a green top section and the one on the right has an orange top section. Both packets have a dark lower section. Below the table, a person is standing on a carpeted floor with a blue and gray pattern.
Okay.
The person is wearing white sandals and a black skirt.
Yep. Accurate.
Ask more button. Ask more button.
Now I need to ask, like, which one's decaf?
Message.
So
Text field.
I'm gonna dictate this.
Character mode.
Which packet is decaf?
Inserted. Which packet is decaf? Clear text. Send message. Button. Set. Please wait. Be My AI is writing a message. Be My AI. The packet on the left with the green top section is labeled as decaf.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and you can have the decaf. I'll keep this one. So there's AI, like I can ask this questions, right? So I also discovered I went to dinner on the first night we were here, we went to dinner, and at the restaurant, it used to be you'd use Seeing AI to read a menu, right? And it's just reading, it's like ba 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 ba. And it's so hard to understand. It's like, where's the entrees? They aren't separated. It's just reading the ingredients. I don't know what's what. So with that Be My Eyes app, if you use the Be My AI feature, it's going to separate it. It's going to say colossal pretzel, and then it's going to say with mustard. And like it's separated into things. And then you could ask, do they have a burger on the menu? And it will say, yes, they have a cheeseburger with bacon or whatever it may be. So you can interact with it just like you would with ChatGPT and using that AI.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The next question, he's used a guide dog for many years, and he wanted to know if there are any companies working on some sort of robot that can replace the use of guide dogs for O&M.
They are working on that. So there's a company called RXV, ARXIV, and they have developed a guide dog that uses either a Slack. So it's a robot, a guide dog robot, that uses either a Slack or a tension leash to tell the user what to do. And it is in development, but not being like mass produced by any means, but they have developed it. Now, I talked to the orientation and mobility specialists that I work with, and I asked them, I was like, so I get it from the tech perspective. They've made it. It can do it. What do you think? And what they said was, well, it doesn't articulate. What that means is a dog you can see like kind of swerving and going right between people and moving really nicely. This robot dog is going to move more linearly as a function of the way that the mechanisms work. It's not really like that as mobile. It's more of a grid kind of pattern kind of guide dog. So while it can detect objects and help you avoid them, in the experience of the people who I talked to, the professionals I talked to, they said nothing can replace a guide dog or a white cane. Like none of the technology can replace it. So I love that question because it's out there. They're making it and they're researching it, right? But it's just not there yet. So thank you for that one.
Thank you. And the last one was, are there any other emerging techs that use AI or something that would be helpful for VI or blind that we don't know about yet?
I think every day something new emerges. So that's a big question. Something that I thought was really cool that I just experienced today for the first time. Chris Marsh actually showed me them. He got them for his son, but there's Ray-Bans that have Meta in them, which is still developing the AI portion. they were really neat. They're stylish. They look like they're Ray-Bans. They use the bone conducting headphones. They're connected to your cranial, like right on your skull. So the people around you aren't going to hear what it's saying to you. So what I did was I just asked it what's in front of me. It said that there's a couple people in front of me. Now, but I asked it, I said, is the person in front of me blonde or brunette? And it said, Meta can't do that yet. So I was like, okay, when's it gonna? Let's see. Let's see. There's other companies and organizations and products that do that same thing. OrCam also can do the OCR, text recognition, facial recognition. And there's AI built in as well. Some of those things you need to have access to Wi-Fi to access them. But it's really emerging. AI is everywhere. It's in everything. And it's exciting for us. It really is. Because if I can hold my camera up to a menu and say, do they have a burger on this menu? Because that's what I'm craving. That's great. So, all right, who's next?
Hi, I'm actually asking on behalf of Julie, but this is something I've wanted to do also. With iPhone, if you speak two different languages, can you switch the voiceover between those two different languages easily? Because I've basically given up on using voiceover or anything like texting in Spanish because I have voiceover and language and everything set up in English. But then when my keyboard is set up in Spanish, I accidentally text people in English, total gibberish. So
Yes.
I'm just wondering if there's an easy way to transition that.
There is.
French, for example.
Thank you. And your name's Angie, right? Thank you, Angie. There is, yes. So what and how you do this is you can go to voiceover settings and under language and region, you can add a language. So once you add Spanish to your language list, you need to add language to your rotor. Now, I've been talking to a lot of people at conference about what the rotor is and teaching people how to move the rotor on the iPhone. The way you do that is kind of like twisting a dial on screen. And every time you want to toggle to the other language, you twist your rotor till you get to language selection. And then you'll do a vertical flick to get to the language you want. So you can easily switch back and forth between those two languages, say while you're on a website or in a text message to go for it to speak to you in Spanish. Thank you. That's my 15-minute warning. 15,
hi.
30. Oh, I still have 30 minutes. Wow. Okay. We're going to get through my questions. We might have some time for questions from the audience. This is great. Okay, go ahead. Who's
It's
next?
Megan. Is there an economical way to make a website accessible with Zoom text that doesn't use the screen reader easily?
Yes. Yes, Megan and I were actually talking about this on the first day of conference. Is that there's some databases and websites that our employers have us using that aren't accessible. And it's a problem, right? You can't do your job if you can't use the screen reader you want to with that website, or if your contrast settings don't work with it. So one of the ways that you can make a database or a website accessible without them having to rebuild it from the ground up is called JAWS scripting. So you can add keyboard commands to access that website. They can create different ways for the content to be read aloud through JAWS scripting. And the way to get that is first, there is a cost associated, of course, but you can hire somebody to JAWS script. So your employer could hire a professional to create a JAWS script for the database that you're using so that your screen reader can then make your content accessible. Thank you. I think that was my last one. I actually, I was talking with Rob Packard earlier. Is he out there? I'd love to hear your question.
Accessibility for travel apps?
Yes, please. Let's talk about what do you have to tell us today, Rob?
Here we go. How many people in the audience have an iPhone? Raise your hand.
How about we clap? Everybody
how
clap
about
twice.
Say aye. Say aye. Clap. All right. So this is helpful to many of you. How many of you use OCO when you're crossing the streets? All right. A good deal. To the rest of you, think down in Kokomo, think download OKO, OKO on your phone. So when you go to that app store and it brings it right up, it's an app where when you hold it out when you're at a crosswalk signal, it will detect the signal with the camera on your phone, and it will immediately say, don't walk signal.
Don't walk, don't walk, don't walk. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's great. Oh yeah. The new version that they just put out is an actual map on it. So there's a button in the middle that you'd have to push when you get the crosswalk. But the point in the map is that I think the goal in the long run is to make it kind of like Waze, where we can alert each other to hazards ahead. And so it's taking it to the next level. It was actually just awarded Apple's Inclusivity Design Award App of the Year. So it's a great app to have on your phone. And the nice thing about it is you're standing there at the crosswalk looking like everyone else these days, holding your phone in front of your face. And you find out if it's walk or don't walk at the same time as everyone else. So OKO.
And what are their next steps in development for that app?
They're, good question for the founder of that. But I think in the long run, they want to make it so it's an app where you can use it kind of like with, I believe, like walking directions, where you can take it to the next level and be more of an app. Like one thing, thank you.
GPS,
right.
yeah.
And I noticed with walking directions that you get to a stairs and it doesn't always tell you. So I think they're trying to make it so it'll alert you to some of the hazards and help out. Indoor walking.
Pretty
So
exciting.
it takes
Indoor walking directions. Yeah.
On OKO?
There was a Google thing, that was mapping our mall one day a couple years ago. So I know that it was setting up where each store is for the Google Maps.
Yes.
Oh, that's for Google.
Yeah.
Yes.
Regarding the OKO app, do you know if they're, now that they've done this upgrade where, and when you activate the app on your phone, you get the map. Do you know if you can go into settings or anywhere and make it so that you get the pedestrian crossing function rather than the map?
I just talked with the founder out of New York about that a week or two ago. And yes, it's made so that you can adjust it by the settings on your phone to how you want it to work. Because I honestly like it where the original was you could just walk along and you bring it up and you can still make it that way. It's in settings. So
awesome. Thank you.
I hope that helps.
It does. Yes.
OKO.
OKO. It's super helpful. I like that one because not all crossings are accessible. They don't all have that beep that tells you you can walk or not walk. I also, I didn't tell her this before, but Joey, I wanted to share the app we talked about this morning. So I'm totally going to put you on the spot. I hope that's okay. Brooke, can you run that microphone over to Joey? You seem like the kind of person that would respond well to me putting you on the spot. So we'll see how this goes.
So
Sorry.
the app that I mentioned to her earlier was one that uses Soundscape software. So if you previously had used Microsoft Soundscape and you're like, oh man, I missed that. There now is Voice Vista. It's a free app that's available on iOS devices. And with this app, you can get a variety of different types of information that can be really helpful when you're just trying to learn about your environment. You can get your location, so you can figure out what address you're at or what address you're near. You can hear what's around me, including different businesses, cross streets. And what I like about the cross streets is you can get updated information when you're walking. So I can figure out whether or not I'm getting closer or farther away from the street that I'm trying to get to, or from just different streets along the way. You can set up breadcrumbs. So that way, if you have a particular route that you want to go to, so maybe you're a college student, for example, and you're on a big campus, and maybe there's not roads on the campus, but you still have your particular landmarks that you're getting used to, you can set up routes on there so you can figure out if you're sticking to the route. And those are just some of the things that you can do with Voice Vista. It is a really helpful app, and I think that it works best also if you are able to use it with bone conduction headphones, because then it can give you that 360 sound. And so that way it'll, for example, if you are listening for a beacon, it'll beep, and it'll beep in the direction of where that beacon is. And the pitches will change again, whether you're getting closer or farther. And that experience is only enhanced when you have the bone conduction headphones on. You can still use it without it, but it's just even better with them.
Awesome. Thank you. You responded very well to be putting on the spot. That's great. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Dean Willis, and I was wanting to know if anybody has trouble with the voiceover.
Thank you.
When you review your message. It seems like mine just keeps getting worse and worse about not reviewing it or not. It's weird.
Do you mean dictation?
Well, I say something, I do by voice,
Yeah.
but when I say review, it don't review. I mean,
Oh,
and it don't. A lot of times it don't do. It take you a couple, 2 or 3 times to even do it because I can't type.
right. So 2 things. First, if you're using dictation history and or dictation and you're finding that it's not as accurate as it used to be, something you can do is go delete your dictation history because it thinks it knows your voice and it doesn't. So if you delete the history, oftentimes it will become more accurate, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's really helpful. Second, if you're using dictation and you're finding it not accurate, if you're using headphones, those don't work as well as if you're speaking directly to the phone, if you're using the
I don't use
microphone.
anything like it.
Okay, yeah, so you'll find often if you are a headphone user that is not as accurate if you're using just the microphone on the
What now? History?
delete the dictation history.
Okay.
So that's under first you'll go to general and then keyboards and then dictation, and you'll delete your dictation history.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Oh, I just thought of something that somebody asked me last year, and I told you could do it, and I didn't know the exact steps off the top of my head. So I'm going to answer that question now that I studied them. So the question was, how can you quickly type in your email address? So if you're logging on to something, you just need to type something like your email address. So I talked about setting up a text or a keyboard shortcut for that. So how you can do that, and what I do is the letters SN on my keyboard on my iPhone will type out my entire email address. I'll do SN spacebar and it types out snappy207@gmail.com. So that way I don't have to type the whole thing. So how you do that is first in settings on your iPhone, you go to general, and then you go to keyboard, and then you go to keyboard shortcut. And you can add one with the little plus button in the upper right-hand corner. And you can add any keyboard shortcut, like OMW means on my way or something like that. If you have a saying you say a lot, that you can add them. So in there, I set up the keyboard shortcut where SN is the keyboard, and then the replacement is going to be snappy207@gmail.com. So huge help if you have to type your email address out a lot for logging into things. I know Carrie's asking for links. So something I will share is I'd love to provide a lot of this. We provide a lot of this information on our Facebook group, on the LHON Assistive Tech Facebook group. I will happily put like some of these directions in there for how to do these things, because I'm saying a lot right now and it's like, whoa, Sarah, we just listened to science too. I bet y'all are ready for lunch. So I know I am, but yeah, great. Let's hear it.
I have LHON Plus. One of the symptoms is double vision. Do you know of any virtual reality headsets or computer programs to help with the double vision?
Wow, that's a really good question. So I don't think I have a very good answer for you. I wish I got this email so I could have researched it. Last year I was talking a lot about being stumped. I think you just stumped me. What's that? It's not unusual. Yeah. Have you found it effective to patch an eye?
No.
It's not effective to patch one eye.
Oddly enough, my left eye has double vision by itself.
Okay, but your right eye doesn't?
Correct. But put them both together, and when I get tired, it gets even worse.
Yeah, absolutely. In that case, I would recommend using more screen reader software and less eyes so that when you're tired, you can still function just as well on a computer. When you don't have to see what you're looking at and really just closing your eyes while you're computing, so that you're not exasperating your issue.
Yeah, but it's just in the daily activities, the double vision, especially when you like to play golf, it's not a lot of fun.
Right.
Which ball do you hit? Yeah.
Thank you for that question. I'm actually going to do some research and see if there's something out there. Again, if I find it, I'll put it in the Facebook group. Everybody can join our Assistive Tech Facebook group for LHON. It's a lively community. There's lots of questions. I'm not the only one answering them. There's other people who are really good at tech in our community that are out there really helping everybody. So I think, is there any more questions?
I just wanted to say with the keyboard shortcuts, I heard that you can use that also for frequently used emojis instead of having to search through the emoji keyboard, that you can set a keyboard shortcut for whichever one that you know that you use a lot.
Oh, thank you. That is helpful. So my starry-eyed emoji can be added. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Okay.
There was someone who was talking the other day about doing a thing where you bump your phones to exchange information, contact information, and I cannot find where that is in the settings.
Awesome. Who were you talking about that with?
Amy?
What?
Amy?
Amy Cook?
She's a nurse. She didn't know where it was.
Oh,
That's why I was
man.
looking for it.
Okay. I don't know it off the top of my head. This is where it's dangerous because I get up in front of you all and I'm nervous and my brain shuts down. But do you know, Rob? Okay, you're raising your hand. You got me excited. Okay, so how to bump your phones and exchange contacts. I'm gonna look that one up too. Thank you. Is there somebody in the audience who knows? Because I'm happy for the mic to be taken to them. That'd be great.
I want to talk out loud.
Do you know?
No, I don't.
Oh, you have a
I
question.
wanna,
Hold on.
I wanna say, I think it's under, you gotta make sure you have certain settings set up for sure. It's under, it's not under general, but make sure you have share. Oh, it's under AirDrop and share contacts.
Oh,
and-
AirDrop.
Yes, AirDrop, share contact. And then just make sure that when you're done bumping that contact information, make sure you turn that setting back off. Otherwise, you'll be sharing all your information whenever you're around someone.
Helpful.
I have an Orcam My Eye waiting for me back in Minnesota. State Services there finally came through and got me that, which I'm very happy about, but I'm a little intimidated by it. And when I go back to Minnesota, though, I want to overcome that intimidation and try using it. They claim they'll give me at least one session of training if this guy will come all the way to me in St. Cloud. But I guess my question really is just a general one about any helpful tips and tricks and so on that you can tell me. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Is our Orcam guy here still? Yeah, let's hear it. So, all right. So I'll hand you the mic for a minute here.
Well, my name is Matt. So nice to see everybody. But yes, we will help you. One of the things I do with Orcam before you even get it, we don't even turn it on and we go over some of those functionalities because it can be intimidating when it starts beeping, talking, and you're not sure what you're doing, right? Just like anything. So we do have a rep and she does go to St. Cloud. And that's one of the things that you guys can get from us. We will help train you. We work with a lot of assistive technology people. I work with Deb in the back. She owns magnifiers and more. So we create little support pockets. We also have a Facebook group, but come back to the table. I'll get you her contact. I'll take your contact and we'll make sure that you guys are all taken care of. So we are here to help.
Thank you. Awesome. That's really helpful. And I find one of the things, like once you learn that how to at least read with Orcam, there's an owner's manual, right? So if you don't remember everything you learned from your training session, you can go back and read the manual. So it's like you can get started with the product and then like learn a little bit more as you go.
Okay.
Oh.
My question is, I dictate my text messages, and that's a lot better. We don't have as many embarrassing mistakes with, changing wording. But when I receive my reply and I'm listening to my audio text, it doesn't complete the entire text message. And so it will get so far and then it'll stop. And then I have to do it again and again. And so it doesn't ever get to the point where I can say, save it or change it or whatever.
Interesting. Okay, so two things. What are you using? Are you using like you ask Siri? Are you using spoken content?
Ask Siri.
You ask Siri and it doesn't read you the whole thing.
Yep.
Is anybody else experiencing that? More than just one? Because I haven't experienced that one. It's reading my whole text. So my answer to that is twofold. So first, make sure your operating system is up to date. So if you update your phone, make sure you're on the latest iOS. The second thing is turn your phone off and back on again. Like my favorite, like tech support, somebody calls me, I'm like, turn it off and back on. Professionally called power cycling, but so I don't have an exact answer for you, but that does sound like a glitch that should be fixed. So these are the kind of things that I like to call Apple accessibility and report to them, because they will fix it in their next update if it's a known issue. And they listen. I asked, this is a good story about Apple accessibility, is I was teaching a client who was from Rwanda, and she spoke Kinyarwandan, and she wanted to use voiceover. And first of all, I was super intimidated. I'm like, how do I teach that? So what happened is they didn't offer it on the iPhone at that time. I called Apple Accessibility, I requested it, and within 3 months they added the language. That doesn't mean I did it. Maybe a bunch of people were asking, but if we keep asking, they add it. They want the product to work. So I'm sorry you're having that problem and I don't have a great solution, but try those things and hopefully it'll fix it.
Add about it is, I think that it happened after an update. So it was fine.
Yeah.
There was an update, and I even took it to the Apple store to have it fixed, and they didn't know how to fix it.
That's the trick, is sometimes the big updates come out with like little glitches, and then the smaller updates kind of fix the little glitches as they go. So, our technology can be our best friend, but it can also have problems, but it is kind of a pain. So, thank you.
Hey, this is Angie again. This one's my question, not Julie's. So when my iPhone asks me to put in my Apple ID password with VoiceOver on, the keyboard stops giving me feedback. Like it stops. So like I can't type in I can type in my password, but it's not telling me what letters I'm pressing. So for everything else, it speaks back, right? So I can hear what I'm typing. But then when it comes time to actually type in my password, because it's a password for Apple ID, that's the only time it doesn't speak. And so I'm wondering why it's doing that.
So that's a privacy setting. If you wear headphones, it will speak it.
Oh, okay.
So if you put headphones on, it will speak it. Also, last I checked on Android, you can turn it on. So when you're putting a password in, it'll speak. You can like change it in settings. I can't remember if on iPhone you can with privacy, but headphones, it's a privacy thing. So if you put headphones on, it will speak it out loud.
Thank you.
So I'm a person that I always have headphones in my little crossbody bag. I'm like, I got my phone, I got my headphones, lipstick, everything you need. All right, I got one up here. Jessica's like super excited to ask a question. So
I feel like a small child up here, just like putting my hand up. I have two. My first one is will we start to travel for work a lot more? So if is there an app that's better for me in the airport that will help me navigate?
Great question. So Ira is very helpful in airports. So Ira they call themselves a visual interpreter. So it's like Be My Eyes almost, but it's a trained professional who is the visual support on the other end. It's free at airports, most airports. So they have a map of the airport. So if you're like, I'm getting off my airplane, can you guide me to my next my next gate if you're making a connection and you're like, also I need coffee on the way. They will guide you and they can look through your camera on your phone and tell you exactly where to go. So you're like, okay, is there, my favorite coffee shop or that second rate one? You can notice I didn't say brands from the podium up here. But I think Ira's a great help for that. So
My
did you
second
want
question is, I have AirPods that are connected to both my phone and my iPad.
Mhm.
But so if I'm on the phone like using my phone to make a phone call, and then someone's like, oh, hey, can you send me like that quick email? If I open my iPad, my AirPods will jump between devices. And then I'll literally have to have one AirPod in one ear, my phone with my other hand. Then I can't type because my AirPods are going back and forth. Does this happen to anyone? It drives me nuts. So like, how do I keep it to stay? Because it just keeps jumping.
I think the easiest toggle, if you're on your phone and you want to use your iPad, the easiest toggle would be to quickly turn off Bluetooth on your iPad
Oh.
so that you're not even using the Bluetooth on there. And it's easy enough to switch it right back on from the control center. So the control center, if you swipe up, right down from the upper right-hand corner, will just open up the control center where you can just pop Bluetooth off on your iPad so you can
Oh, okay. That's genius. Thank
just
you.
have, I think that's John. Get a mic in John's hand.
I think there's a setting, if you go into the AirPods under the Bluetooth and then, swipe up and go to the more info, there's a ton of settings in the AirPods. I think one of them I've done is prioritizing devices. There's options to customize which devices are prioritized.
But your name's John, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, do you find the same thing I just said about voiceover? It will speak your password if you have your AirPods in?
I was wondering about that when you said that. I don't know if I've experienced that, but I haven't not.
Okay.
You found that? That's a really cool trick.
Yeah, I have experienced it, but it's been a little while since I've typed in my Apple ID password. So I just wanted to verify because I know that you use your AirPods a lot.
Yeah.
John, while the mic's in your hand, I overheard you sharing with somebody yesterday about what the voiceover rotor is. Can you explain it to everybody? What is the rotor?
So it's basically kind of changes what your swipes and finger functionality does when voiceover's on. So it can go, if you swipe up, normally the default is going to be changing the action that your double tap does. So if you're on just the home screen, you've got apps up. Normally when you swipe up and down on an app, it'll go from activate to edit apps where you can delete or move apps or whatever. If you turn the rotor in any other screen or app or document, you can change it to go by character. You can change it to go by word. You can change it to go by lines. You can change it to go by form controls, which are text boxes, buttons, things like that. You can change it to just skip to links. So it's only going to read you the links, but this changes the functionality when you swipe up and down when voiceover is on. So if you hold two fingers, like Sarah said, when you're turning a knob on, in my brain, it's an old guitar amplifier, but turning a knob, keep your thumb and finger on the screen. When voiceover is on, it'll say rotor and it'll start to switch between things. Speaking rate, so how fast voiceover is one of the options. What else? There's a ton of them. And then you can go in settings under accessibility and voiceover. You can customize what's in your rotor.
Yes. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
so good to have an explanation of what the rotor is. I've had that question like 3 times because I love it. People are just coming up to me and they're like, I got this thing. And we try to figure it out together. So a lot of people aren't familiar with what the rotor does, but their apps are like announcing like with the rotor, do this. So thank you. Thank you, John. We have like less than 5 minutes, so I might have time for like one more before lunch.
Hi, my name's Chris. I've had the Facebook, the Meta Ray bands for about 4 or 5 weeks.
Tell me
they've
more.
been really helpful so far, especially with like texting, because texting with headphones to dictate is awful. But dictating through these, it's just as good as speaking right into the phone.
And that's the Ray-Ban sunglasses.
Yeah, and like
with
if
Meta.
a text comes in, it says message from blah blah blah, and then you can ask it to read it back to you. And then you can say reply to message and then dictate it and send it right back to the person. As far as like seeing things, it won't read a piece of paper to me. I'll have to do like the seeing AI, but it's weird. Like I asked what the labor law poster at work was. I just asked, what is this? And then it read off the smallest font paragraph to me. And then when I came out here from, had a layover in Denver from Long Beach, and I asked the lady to point me where my gate was. I went to one of the gates to see, I asked Meta, what is this? And said, oh, this appears to be an airport gate, specifically C-42 to Houston, which is the next gate over from what I needed. So that was a new thing that I found out. I'm learning new things about it every day, but it's been very, very helpful so far.
Awesome. And they're stylish too. They just look like Ray-Bans. They look pretty, yeah, they're pretty normal looking.
All right, I was like, let's give a round of applause for Sarah. That was awesome. I was like, wealth of information. Please, I'm like, shameless plug, go to her Assistive Technology calls on the even months on the last Monday. So please join her, and thank you, Sarah, so much. And there's so much good information, and I think I need new Ray-Ban sunglasses, so that's awesome.